Goodeids are one of my favorite species in the aquarium hobby. While most of the species are rather rare and hard to come by, the Trout Goodeid is one that's more readily available. With its yellow coloration and trout-like patterns, there's no doubt why this is one of the more popular Goodeid species. So let's jump into the fish barn and learn more about the Trout Goodeid. The Trout Goodeid is native to Mexico, where it hails from the states of Jalisco and Colima, where it inhabits rivers and streams, where it can be found in pools with minimum vegetation and varying levels of current. Thankfully, this is one of the few species of Goodeids that is not endangered in its natural habitat, showing a ranking of least concern on the IUCN list. I have found that the Trout Goodeid has been hardy and pretty easy to keep. This fish will get to be about 3.5 to 4 inches long and are incredibly active, so I would keep these fish in a minimum of a 29-gallon tank or larger. The bigger tank, the better. The tank should have areas of heavy plant cover so that there's areas for fry to hide, as well as large open areas for swimming space. As with all Goodeids, they prefer cooler temperatures from the mid-60s to the lower 70s Fahrenheit. If the temperature gets above 75 degrees, they'll start to fall apart. Like their more common guppy and molly cousins, these fish do prefer harder, higher pH water. They do fine here in the fish tank barn with a pH of around 8. And like most aquarium fish, they do prefer clean, well-filtered water, which I accomplished using a sponge filter from the Aquarium Co-op, which is my preferred brand. However, if you do like hang-on backs or canister filters, I would ensure that you have an intake sponge in order to prevent fry from being sucked into the intake. Since they do come from an area with some current, they do appreciate some water flow as well as plenty of oxygen in the aquarium. The Trout Goodeid will take a wide variety of food from appropriately sized flake, pellets, and frozen foods. I currently keep 2 different morphs of the Trout Goodeids. In this 29-gallon tank, I have a group of what's called the Xantuzzi morph, and then in this 40-gallon tank, I have a morph of the Greg Sage line from Select Aquatics, where he bred these fish to bring out more of their yellow coloration. I've not kept Trout Goodeids with any other fish, so I cannot comment on their specific aggression level, but as with all Goodeids, some fish are more aggressive than others. I have kept other Goodeid species with rainbow fish, plecos, and other Pacillid live bearers, and wouldn't see these fish having any issue with the Trout Goodeids. I would avoid keeping these fish with Neocaridina shrimp, since they'll more than likely become a snack. While this species is not particularly endangered, many of the other Goodeid species are, so I would avoid keeping these fish with other Goodeid species to avoid interbreeding. I wouldn't want to jeopardize ruining a location-specific species. While the Trout Goodeid is a live bearer, like their guppy and platy cousins, there are some stark differences when it comes to reproduction. First of all, the males do not possess a gonopodium, but instead, they just have a notch in their anal fin. And like all female live bearers, the females will just have a rounded anal fin. Also, the female Trout Goodeid will not be as colorful as its male counterpart. The gestation period for the Trout Goodeid would be about 60 days, compared to 30 days with most other live bearers. The young Trout Goodeids come out quite a bit larger than your typical live bearer fry, with the female dropping anywhere from 5 to 30 fry, which is quite a bit less than your other typical live bearers. These fish will readily eat a wide variety of crushed up flake food, baby brine shrimp, and many of the other smaller type foods. To improve your yields, you may want to move the females to a separate rearing tank to drop their fry to avoid other fish from predating on them. Now that we've learned about the Trout Goodeid, you're probably going to ask, where can I find these fish? Well, you're probably not going to find it in your typical fish store. Some of the great places to find Trout Goodeids are Aquabid, your local fish club, your local aquarium club auctions, the American Live Bearer Association, and from Select Aquatics, which is run by Greg Sage, which I spoke of earlier. If you're looking for more information on Goodeids, I would make sure to check out the Goodeid Working Group, which is an organization that is committed to the conservation and education regarding Goodeid species. I'll go ahead and put a link to that organization in the description. I also have a general care guide that I'll link in the corner of this video if you want to check out more about goodeids in general.